Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the fourth edition of Stags in the Studio. My name is Andrew Jameson. I'm the Assistant Sports Director here at WVOF, Fairfield Student Radio. I'm glad to be joined by Ryan Canfield, a senior who has covered many baseball games for us here at WVOF, and most importantly, our guest here today, baseball head coach Bill Currier, entering his 13th season for the Fairfield University Stags. Bill, thank you so much for taking time to come visit us.
Thanks for having me.
As of right now, what's the vibe of the team right now?
The vibe is good. We just got to iron out a few issues that we're having, and we made a positive step this weekend toward playing better defense. Our pitching had some ups and downs this weekend, but we feel we're going to get better and better the more they get out on a dirt mound on a real field, and they're going to get better quickly as we go here with a lot of games to play.
Yeah, no, definitely is a long season. One of the luxuries of the baseball season, the strength of schedule and that competition. I know, Ryan, you wanted to dive into a little bit more of the personal side, though.
Yeah, Coach Andrew said you've had an illustrious baseball career. You were drafted into the major leagues, and I just want to go way back to the beginning. Is what made you love baseball as a kid?
Well, certainly grew up in an athletic neighborhood where we played everything. Probably my number one sport right up through high school was hockey. So I played a lot of that, and all three of my boys played. One played in college, and so been around athletics for a long time, and certainly baseball seemed to be my Division I college future, and was recruited by the neighboring University of Vermont. And Jack Leggett was my coach, who was a coach for 20-plus years at Clemson and the USA baseball team coach. And so had good influences and good leadership along the way and mentoring by Coach Leggett. And decided that I wanted it as a career. And after I got out of the minors, I went right to grad school and started that career.
Yeah, and you mentioned Jack Leggett, a decorated resume himself, two-time ACC Coach of the Year. We 5-time Southern Conference Coach of the Year. What kind of what influence did he have in your? Did he inspire you or want you to become a coach in a way?
Well, I think I wanted to, and he was open very much to becoming a grad assistant for him at Western Carolina, where we won our first Southern Conference championship the year I was there. So then I think he won 4 more after that. So, but he was. He's had a lot of branches under his tree of coaches. I think we had 6 or 7 Division I coaches that played for him at either Western Carolina, Vermont, or Clemson. So, when you're, as I tell them, when you're that old, that stuff happens. and it's an enjoyment of a coach that's been around for a while is the assistants that you can move along and become assistants at bigger programs or become head coaches. So I think it's a nice thing to see happen under your tutelage and mentoring the young guys and as well as players. The hundreds of players that I've coached that have gone on and had a great career in other jobs or professional baseball for a time. It's a good feeling to have a part in that and help them to go after their dreams.
So, going back to your playing days, you spent a few years in the Phillies organization. You were drafted in the 6th round in 1981 by the Phillies. What did you take away from those few years in the organization as a player and applied it to your coaching?
Yeah, it took positive and negative things. The pro circuit is certainly a different. The team, it doesn't matter. It's about you and moving up, and it's a little less team-orientated. It's more individual, and certainly wasn't used to that being on a college team. So I think the positive things is certainly seeing good talent, seeing good pitching, hitting off good pitching a lot, how much better it gets you, and how many other good players are out there. But, something I really felt that they're not that good. I came from the University of Vermont, and I'm a Vermonter, so I hadn't been out with top players. I was slated to play at the Cape that summer when I was drafted. I was there practicing, but didn't play in a game. And so I thought, thinking they're going to be pretty good from Texas and California and Florida, but when I get out to the mini camp in Montana with 42 drafted players, I felt after 2-3 weeks that I was one of the better players, and I got to miss rookie ball and go right to A ball. So my thoughts and their thoughts were a little bit the same. So then I got asked the first year to go to Instructional League, which is their top prospects from AA on down, and I led our team in hits there. Played with Juan Samuel and a few others in that time, and quite a few of those, not a lot, but some made it to the big leagues out of that group. So I was with the elite, and it just came to an end as I was one of the older ones and didn't produce as much as I should have, and you got to turn to plan B.
So on that note, at what point you knew you were done playing? When did you realize that when you were done playing, you wanted to get into coaching?
Right after. I got a hold of the day or two after I got released, I got a hold of Coach Leggett and said, look, if there's a grad assistant spot open at Western Carolina, I'd be interested. At that time, he had a spot but wasn't going to open until the following year. So I did finish up my degree, 4-year degree at Vermont, and then I worked actually in the court system as a bailiff for 6 months before I joined Leggett the next August down in Western Carolina. So I had a year to spend, and it was good to finish up getting my degree, and then I was all set, and then went on to get my graduate degree in 1 year down at Western Carolina before jumping into my own program.
I mean, you definitely qualify as a baseball lifer. You played it, you've coached it for a long time now. If there's something right here in 2024 that you could tell yourself back when you started coaching, what's one piece of advice your current self would give to your past self?
Well, it'd probably be when we had some really good years in the 90s at Vermont, I probably would have gone down south and tried to head coach and keep moving up a little bit. I had 3 sons, pretty active, active household. So we were either skating in the rink in the backyard or throwing to them in the tunnel in my backyard. So it was a time when it looked like it was a pretty good situation at Vermont. We were building the program, and we were usually in the top 4 in New England with no scholarships for a long time, and we were really rocking up there and doing pretty well in a nice stadium. And I didn't take that chance then. I thought it was better for the family to stay there. And then our program got cut in 2009, and that's when it really was like, dang, I should have, taken that chance probably then. So, but, looking back, it was a great place to raise, a family. And it was a really good situation with good kids just like here at Fairfield.
And going back to 2009, what did you see the signs that the program was going down, and when did you have to start plotting out your next steps for your next move in your coaching career?
There wasn't a thought of dropping the program. We were, I think, 3rd in New England, and we were doing one of the best programs for 10 years up at the University of Vermont. And there wasn't I think it's going to go down. It was the economy took a dive, and the athletic director had to make cuts. And instead of cutting a little bit off a lot of programs, he cut softball and baseball. So
you mentioned the 2009 was the last year you coached at Vermont. Then you took a 3-year hiatus, joined the Fairfield coaching ranks at in 2012. Obviously, a 14-10 season. I'm just now shifting to the Fairfield side of things. What attracted you to Fairfield's baseball program?
Actually, in between Vermont and Fairfield, I was at Tennessee for a year or two. So that was a time I joined them just after Christmas, and I was with them that whole spring. So as a volunteer assistant, so it was quite a bit difference going from a head coach for 22 years to a volunteer assistant. But I loved it, and the SEC and playing in that schedule, it really opened my eyes and the SEC baseball. And as a volunteer, there's no recruiting, no responsibilities other than fun going on the field and coaching, which is, what you first in it and what you love to do. So that was a real enjoyable year. And then I came here to Fairfield, and I applied for many jobs, and 4 or 5 that I was right in the running for, and finished second to the Bryant job, and then the Fairfield job opened. We always played against them in Florida when I was at Vermont, and always thought that program could be much better, and with a tremendous school, and with better facilities, and a little bit more recruiting, a little more directed toward a committed and better athlete. I thought it could be a place where it could really be good. So,
well, it certainly has developed as your first year in 2012. The Stags, you won Coach of the Year, and that team went 14-10 in MAC play. I believe you reached the playoffs for the first time since 2000. Was there a particular moment in that 2012 campaign where you realized there was something special, like, developing at Fairfield?
Yeah, as soon as I got here, I knew that if we could put together a better looking ballpark, the school's going to sell itself. Kids come here, get graduate educations, and the job connections they make through the alumni from the school and ex-baseball players is phenomenal. And I think I've really helped grow that. The kids are, really getting opportunities coming out of our programs. And I think the success was going to come, and it did. And, in 16, then we not only won the league, but won the tournament and went to the regional and down at Texas. So that's something I could foresee happening, and that was the first thing I said in the interview for the job is we can be a winner here. We shouldn't be in the bottom 3 in the league, and we can be in the top 3 a lot more. And we've won it 4 out of 6 years. We've won the regular season championship.
It feels based on the accolades, it feels like like a buy-in culture and the mentality setting. And as you've had the illustrious career that you've had here at Fairfield, just wondering. How much I know there's a good staff on the scouting and coaching. How much credit do you give to some of those? As I believe one of your Mike Caruso was also promoted recently as of last year to pitching and catching coach. How much has that staff helped you along your journey and have an influence on you?
Yeah, and coaching Mike Caruso for 4 years as a catcher, you could see he was sharp. He was just understood the game. Handled pitching staffs a lot of real good pitching coaches are ex-catchers. They really understand the mechanics and what they're doing and what their makeup is and their mental approach, and he's made a great transition from a catcher to a pitching coach, and he didn't have a lot of catching up to do because he was so aware of what was going on already with pitchers and their schedule and just their everything they do. So he's made a nice transition as a young 25-year-old, and we're real excited about his future as our pitching coach. And the other assistant, Brian Fay's associate head coach and recruiting coordinator. He's done a great job of really organizing the recruiting and directing it toward the fit for Fairfield and keep getting a better kid all the time and increasing our depth of our roster, and he's done a great job of that the last few years as a recruiting coordinator.
When you're recruiting kids, what are you looking for that makes them fit into the Fairfield baseball program?
Yeah, first, it doesn't matter how good they are, they got to be a student. They got to be a good student, and they got to fit into our family of good student, good athlete, good person, good community leader, and that's got to fit with us. And so we got a good idea. We're on the same page. He sees somebody, he knows what he's looking at, and I can trust that. And when I'm looking at somebody, he knows that's what I'm looking at. So we've been together now for this is our 7th year, 6 years together. So we got a good feeling of that. And Caruso coming through the program, he knows exactly what we're looking for. So we're continually trying to get better, even though we've been winning the league. There's going to be ups and downs, just like we're in right now, and we're going to get better and keep coaching them up, and hopefully when we get back to teams that are a little more similar to us and our abilities and program size, we're going to be just fine.
So you mentioned Mike Caruso. He played for you for 4 years now, the pitching coach, and you've also coached a lot of special players. Matt Duffy, you coached, went to the big leagues. What is the most rewarding part of being a coach?
You know, there's not many that go to the big leagues, and I've had one. We got a kid, Austin Pope, right now in AAA. He's in big league camp. Just threw a shutout inning yesterday out in Arizona, and he's looking great. I mean, he's 96, 97 with a 91 slider right now, and he pitched very impactful innings last year in AAA. Trey McLaughlin's another one in AA. Was just here 3 years ago, and he's doing great. And he'll, I'm sure, get up during spring training with the split squads and get up there and throw 4 or 5 innings also of the big league team. So these guys are knocking on the door. With Charlie Pagliarini just last year draft and led the nation in RBIs and 97 RBIs in 56 games. I mean, that's unheard of. That's just phenomenal. And the year he had, and he's been working out 3-4 days a week with us for the last 5 weeks, and he's looking great. And he got asked to go to spring training early with a group, so that's always a very positive thing when a single A player gets asked to go early to spring training. So he's doing great and hitting right off the first day. He's hitting and playing great and playing a lot of positions. So they're pretty high on him too. So that's special having those players get that pro opportunity. But 95% of them are not, and they're going on to jobs and that's probably the most important thing of having these kids go on to jobs and start families and come back and say, this was a big part of doing things and learning how to do things right, and athletics and Fairfield and coaching, and my teammates were the biggest part of that.
You mentioned Charlie Pagliarini, of course, drafted in the 19th round in the 2023 MLB draft this past summer. Rarely do you see players of his caliber. You mentioned like the very small ratio, as you mentioned 95% will go on to jobs, but how much credit do you give to your seniors each year? Like last year it was Griffin Watson, Noah Lucier. Noah Lucier, I believe, now is in New England. He's in the New England League right now. How much credit do you give your seniors each year, and how much do you kind of feed off of their influence on the team?
Yeah, that's a good question, because that's what builds culture. When you have seniors juniors and seniors that really buy into what you're trying to teach them, and they start teaching younger guys when they come in. And that's a big part of any coach's culture building is getting good kids, training the younger ones, and pretty soon it's cycle of keep getting good kids and they're being trained right. If they're not coming in as freshmen with the right thoughts or work ethic or whatever it may be, the juniors and seniors are on them day to day, and the coaches. So that's something we started 10 years ago, and or longer, and that's something that we perpetuated and really look to every year with the leadership. And that group last year was just, Lucier's playing independent ball now. Watson's selling for a medical device company, and they're all doing different things, but they left a big mark on our program and our players that are coming through, and certainly we're seeing the same type of attitude with the juniors and seniors that were younger when they were here.
How do you replace people like Pags, like Mike Bichetti, like Griffin, not just on the field, but in terms of the culture? Like, who has stepped up into that leadership role now that they're gone?
Yeah, we realized very quickly you're not going to have someone to step into Bichetti's spot and be that good of a second baseman or that good of a player. So just like Pagliarini, you're going to replace 3 guys to get 97 RBIs, you'd be happy. So you're not going to replace them one for one. We're just trying to replace them with a good player. And we have probably 4 infielders right now, 4 or 5 infielders that could all play, and they're all going to probably play and mix around at 3 different positions. Bergevin's our only returning infielder at first base, and he's developed into a really good two-way player. And right now he's hitting 3-hole because we got Zach Sellinger, the transfer from Fordham, has been out with a concussion for 3 weeks now. So we got 3 infielders that have been playing a lot, and even playing different positions, second and third, and they're getting better and better, and you're just not going to replace those 3 that were last year. Our shortstop Lucier last year made 3 errors, and he was a runner-up finalist for the top shortstop in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to replace him. I've never had a shortstop make 3 errors in a year, and any coach would buy into that. Even if they hit 0, they would buy into taking a kid like that. So, and he hit 384, I think. So it's tough to replace him, but I think we got a good young group that's been sitting for a couple of years and very anxious to take charge and lead our team.
You mentioned the roster turnovers. There are 7 freshmen and 10 sophomores on the team. You know, in a sport where, you know, reps and opportunities are everything. You know, how are you incorporating maybe that exposure in your lineup, seeing, you know, what's working, you know, like the fits, you know, developing that like chemistry and getting like the confidence of players up?
Yeah, and that's some of it has to do a lot with getting their confidence and getting their playing time in these early. We have 6 weekends before we start conference play because we have a bye the first weekend where we're playing home against NJIT. So we still have a month left before we start conference play. So that's a great time to get the younger guys in, and it is younger with the infielders or first-year players, more or less, with them. Ben Alexson, a freshman starter for us that started the last 2 weekends. Getting guys like that in and getting them experience and getting them confidence that they belong here and they are one of our better pitchers or better players. And, you know, I never said you're a freshman, you got to sit for a year and not play because you got to learn. I've never said that. If they're good enough, you're going to play. And that's the same way with the recruiting. I don't care where we get recruits from. We want the best kid, the best player, the best student. We're looking for that type of player. So it doesn't matter to me if they're a scholarship or non-scholarship kid. I came from Vermont where every kid was not on scholarship, and it didn't matter. The best players play, and that's kind of the same philosophy I've had here at Fairfield too.
Now, in terms of pitching, obviously, as Andrew said, it's a younger team. I think, I want to frame this right way. It's not harder to be a freshman pitcher than a freshman hitter because they're both incredibly challenging. But in terms of mentality, as a freshman pitcher, you're playing against kids that are older than you, bigger, stronger, whatever it may be. How do you get someone in the mindset of, okay, I belong here, and how do you translate that into pitching?
Yeah, I think it starts in the fall when we're inter-squatting and they're playing and they're seeing they're having success. And I think the light slowly gets brighter as they go through the fall of I can pitch here, and I'm putting the ball by some of these players that are 22 years old and hit 350 last year with a very good team, and I think I belong here, and I can see, you can see that light start to get brighter. And then in the preseason here, when we try to inter-squad and the innings go up with the pitchers and the at-bats get greater, you see the same thing. You see the pitchers start to rise a little bit, the good ones, and they get used to, I guess I can't throw at the thighs because it's going to get hit. And that's what I think, Ben Alexson felt this. He made some mistakes against a very good hitting team and got hit. And I think he's going to learn from that, and he's a competitor, and he's someone that's going to be, I think, a great pitcher here. And these are good things. It's not bad when you get hit, and you got to learn from a young player learns from his mistakes and not puts his head down and sulks a little bit. They get a little upset, but they have that reflection of, I got to be better, and I got to hit better locations. Just like a pitcher, a freshman. You think of a freshman, throw them breaking balls because they don't see it, and they don't see as good of a breaking ball or a changeup in college in Division I. The quicker they can respond to that, and quicker they can make adjustments, that shows the type of athlete you have and how much better they're going to be because they're on making adjustments all the time, and that's what the game is, making adjustments, attitude or physical adjustments, and those are the kids that will play a little sooner than the kids that don't make those adjustments quite as quickly.
When you're looking at right now, season started a little bit ago and the end of the season, and you see young players who develop, what are you looking for that's most important for you as an attribute going into next season?
Going into 25?
Yeah, like you see someone and they struggled a little bit in the beginning and they got better, or was it their attitude, or was it an adjustment? What is something you look for in the development of players year in, year out that gives you confidence of success in the future?
Yeah, it's the way they come back after difficult situations, how they, even when they have success, how they deal with it. Do they think they've got it all figured out then, or do they still got to get better? Those are the things you look for in young players anyway, and just their competitiveness. If a kid really is a competitor and doesn't like losing and loves to win, that kid is going to be driven a little bit more than the kid that gets satisfied quickly and thinks they got it figured out. And those are the kids that have the ups and downs a lot more. So those are the things we look for. And we're only 2 weekends into this season, so we're really not looking at 25 too much, other than the recruits that are signed. But that's what we kind of look for, though, in those kids, that how they're going to develop and how mentally you can help them with the way you think they should approach success and failure.
How do you manage a pitching staff this early in the season? Obviously, as you said, only 2 weekends in. Are you pushing your starters a little bit more, or are you still ramping up a little bit start by start before conference play?
That's a good question, because some coaches have different philosophies. Some coaches will throw their pitchers 110 pitches the first weekend. We don't do that. We develop them, and they're up to 80 pitches. They're not going to throw over 80 pitches. So they've been coming out after 4 innings. Nobody's thrown over 4 1/3, I think, as starters. So we're building them up slowly. Who pitches and who doesn't, more or less it's based on need of the inning. Is it an impactful time? And it rolls off the preseason, how they did, and who we have confidence in at the time. We got some pitchers that are coming back from injuries that we're building up that we think are going to be very good. They want to pitch more, but we want to build them up and make sure they're healthy and strong and at their best at the right time of the year. So we're careful in making sure we don't overthrow kids, but it is a little more difficult getting more kids in. We wish we got a little bit more pitchers in there, but we're coming up on the spring break week where we play a weekend series, then we play Tuesday, Wednesday down at St. Joe's, and between the week, then we fly to Florida to play 3 on the weekend against Florida Gulf Coast. So that's going to be a little more taxing on our pen and starters, on our whole staff, and it's going to get a few more innings in, and we'll get some more looks at the other pitchers.
Now, going off, you mentioned the pitching philosophy, flipping sides now. So the offensive, game plan, philosophy. The team is hitting above 300 cumulatively as so far this season. So are you preaching anything specific to this offense?
Well, we are pretty happy right now with our offense. We're scoring runs. We're out hitting our opponent 2 weekends ago every game, and we felt we outpitched them also. We just didn't make plays, and we had some difficulties, and we hit 10 batters, mostly on the elbow, throwing inside, and so we had some difficulties in those 2 areas, putting, we call them free 90s, and we had just way too many that first weekend. This weekend we limited a little bit more. We felt a much better team, and we did very well the first 2 games, losing 2 close ones, and then we made some mistakes. The wind's going out to left, and they hit about 5-6 home runs, so it was a little different the third game, but we feel that we're going to do better as we go, and just getting the pitchers out there a little bit more, and being watchful of getting our legs under us as they get out there the 3rd and 4th and 5th time. We think our staff will be pretty good, and I think our defense will get better, and we keep swinging the bats like we are. I think we'll score 5 to 6, 7 runs a game, and hopefully we give up less than that.
You mentioned strength of schedule. Obviously, the TAD success. I believe at one point last year you played number 18 ranked at the time, Coastal Carolina. My question's more toward the northeastern side of things. Obviously, Sacred Heart and Merrimack are joining the MAC conference next season for the 2024-25 academic year. You guys have played Sacred Heart in the past, your fair share of times. I believe 5 times in the last 2 years. I'm just wondering how the anticipation, looking forward to that interstate rivalry, if the team's feeding off of that a little bit.
Yeah, Quinnipiac's another rival that's close by, I guess you can call it, by right in the same area as us. So we play them 2 times during the midweek for the last 3 or 4 years, Sacred Heart. So We know the coaches well. Pat Egan's doing a great job over there at Sacred Heart. He's been there, I think this is his third year. And, we're excited that it's close by. We do lose out on midweek games. We got to go a little further now to find them. We used to be 3 miles away. So, but they're a good program. The coaches are very, very respected. And Merrimack, we don't know that much about. A little further away, and they came up from Division II, I believe, 5 or 6 years ago. So, and I never played them at Vermont because they were Division II. So, don't know much about them. Never played against them, but we're everything's about building the number of teams in your conference now. Everybody wants 12 to 16 or so in their conference, and building them up for all sports, that's a good thing. It keeps us regionally located, and our conference already is very good for not missing a huge amount of classes and not on a bus half your athletic life in college too. So I think they're two good additions.
So I want to go back and talk a little bit about lineup construction. There's recently been a school of thought the last few years where you have your best hitter bat second in the lineup, where traditionally in the past it was third. And then also there's a concept of the left-right balance and how you construct a lineup that way. In your ideal world, where is your best hitter in your lineup, and how are you building out a lineup, and what do you expect out of each hole?
Yeah, I think Mike Trout started the best hitter in the 2 spot because he kind of held that down for quite a few years now and certainly proved it was valuable. We are kind of, as you can see, flipping around the leadoff spot. We've had Ryan Strollo there. We've had T.J. Smallsy there. We've had other kids there, and we're looking to solidify that spot a little bit more. But this year, as it hasn't been the last 3 years, we've kind of had a hard lineup for 3 years, and they've gotten older and better, and now the lineup's shifting a little bit. Other than kind of the 2 through 5, 6 spot, it's going to shift a little bit maybe. So that's a good thing. That means that guys come to the ballpark and they said, I could play today. I could be in the lineup today. Where in the last 3 years, it was kind of set who's going to be there. We might have had 1 or 2 positions revolve a little bit based on an injury or production. But so that's going to be interesting, and that's why we like to play the preseason and develop that and give opportunity and see who rises and solidifies those positions in that lineup. So I think, you certainly always want your best hitter in the 3-hole. To make sure they get up that first inning, so that 2, 3, 4, 5, it's our best hitters there, and 6 with Bouchero rounding out that. We get Zach Sellinger back, he'll be in that thick of that middle 4 or 5 too, and I think that'll extend our lineup a little deeper and make it even a little stronger offensively.
You mentioned, the lineup being set mostly for the last 3 years, like with the likes of Griffin Watson, Noah Lucier, Charlie Pagliarina, but some of the guys who were in those revolving spots, last year, guys like Dean Ferrara, Luke Namora, they have stepped up in their own way, coming into their own. How have they responded to, playing every day, which is, something that, they might not have had that opportunity last year?
Yeah, they're real excited, and they knew why they weren't starting last year with those guys you mentioned in front of them. And now with 3 of our top infielders gone, they certainly came back this fall with a pretty eager look on them and willing to make their mark and know that the opportunities were there before them. And they've done a good job of not only working hard, but not feeling like it's given to them, that they have to earn something. And there's competition in those spots of second, short, and third. And I think that they're going to get better and better, and it's just getting into games and making that play with 2 guys on, with 2 outs and a ground ball to them, and making a good throw and not feeling like they haven't done it before in a game. So as we play more, they'll get better, and we feel confident in their abilities. And will they be a Pagliarini or Bichetti or Lucier? That's yet to be seen. But they know they're going to get opportunity, and they're going to make the best of it.
Certainly the culture has, set up opportunities for some of these guys. But, you also have some veteran guys from the squad last year. Ethan Hibbard, graduate student. Matt Bergevin, senior. He's returning from injury. How have they, embraced the role? You talked about not, replacing 3 of those guys who combined for 97 RBIs, filling in those shoes. How have they stepped up and taken this role as captains?
Yeah, our 2 captains, Ethan Hibbert and Colin McVeigh, have done a phenomenal job of leadership from the locker room to the weight room to the field. They're doing a great job of setting a standard that's been in place and even taking it up a notch of, hey, we're maybe not as talented as last year, but collectively we're going to be deeper and deeper pitching staff, deeper maybe on the bench, and we're going to get the job done. And those 2 have done a phenomenal job through the fall and the winter, off-season and preseason of really keeping our team together and thinking the right things, and we're really grateful to have 2 very good captains. We really only have, like you mentioned, Hibbert, Bergevin, and Bouchiero that are 3 guys from the starting lineup. So and center field's been a little bit rotating with Catalano and Strollo out there. So it's going to be it's going to be interesting. It's going to be competitive within, which I think builds success of guys keep working hard and keep knowing that there's someone behind them that could take over their spot. And we'll see how that reflects on their talents and their ability and execution on defense as we keep getting through the games here.
Just one last comment about the lineup here. You mentioned the depth being praised. Like the MAC in the preseason poll, you guys were voted to finish first out of the 11 teams. How has the team responded to that? And do you expect, when those types of preseason accolades are given to you, it kind of sets a target on your back. Your teams are going to give your best shot. How has the team responded to those particular accolades, whether it be first in preseason poll as a collective team and even individual guys for all MAC first selections?
Yeah, I think our guys are mature enough and smart enough to realize those are all preseason. And as we tell them, I said, guys, that's all preseason polls and preseason nominations. I said, this is based on past years. And I think that was my quote when that came out, is it's a good attribute because that means you've done well in the past, but that is not the current situation. So you got to earn that all again. If that's the way it was in the end of May, well, I'd feel pretty good about it. So I think that our success at the top of the pack has been there and it's understood, but it is a target on your back. It's like the Yankees. Everybody hates them because they were the best team for a while. Thank God they're not now, but my Red Sox aren't either. So we're both at the bottom. So, but that just goes with being successful. People are rating you higher and putting a target on your back, and we realize that, and it doesn't make any more tension or anything with us as we know it's beginning of the year.
So baseball especially is tricky because it's every single day. You're practicing, you're playing, and you're obviously managing college kids. How do you make sure they're checked in, locked in every single day? Because it's very easy to get lost in the monotony in the baseball season and mentally not be as locked in as you should be.
Yeah, I think of baseball's mentality. Can't be too high, can't be too low. You got too many at-bats coming. You got too many ground balls or fly balls or pitches coming right around the corner. So it's dealing with adversity, it's dealing with success, and how you deal with it is an important thing, especially a college kid that wants to get hyped up a lot more than an older player. And I think the longer I coached, I used to get fired up a lot more, and I think sometimes it creates a little tension in your team, but they know how much I want to win, and they know how much our other coaches want to win, and they realize that. It's just keeping them aware of, hey, just make a small adjustment. Let's turn the corner, flush it down, and move on to the next pitch or the next batter at bat. So it's important to do that when you got a lot of games, especially in the next week. We're playing 8 games in 10 days, and it's going to be a lot of baseball, and you got to be ready for the next pitch and play. That's for sure, or else it'll drag you down pretty quickly.
Now, you mentioned you were a Red Sox fan. Obviously, you follow baseball very closely. How closely are you able to follow Major League Baseball during the season?
Yeah, it's a lot it's easier to follow it on your phone on the bus ride and stuff, but it's it's frustrating. It's hard to like any team now, I think, because they're just following the paycheck, and the bigger teams are gobbling up all the best players, a lot of them. And if the not big payroll teams are successful, it's because of good job scouting and bringing them up through the minors, and then you lose them as soon as they get to be a 2 or 3 year big leaguer. So it's hard to like any team. You more or less, I think, you find yourself. I find myself liking the certain players. Doesn't matter what team they're on, and I think the opportunity that they get wherever it is, it's based on the way they present themselves, the way they play the game, and that's what we hope younger kids like to look at, is the way they play the game and the way they hustle, the way they do the little things. They recognize that, and not just look at the highlights on ESPN and formulate their best players from what they see there, which might be a little bit of a problem with a lot of the youth in baseball nowadays.
If there were a couple players you could highlight and say, I want my program to emulate what they do on the field and off the field, who would they be?
Yeah, it's kind of Dustin Pedroia type of play. I mean, the guy, you look at him, you go, how can he be a great player? And the kid, came out of California, just, wasn't even looked at highly and wasn't even, drafted high. And he's somebody that just worked his tail off and diving for balls and playing hard every day at the plate, thinking he's the best hitter on the field. And that type of mentality is a mentality of a winner. And that's what we try to promote in our players. You come and you work hard every day in practice, and every game you come ready to play, and you think you're the best player on the field. And if you got that mindset, you're going to be a player that's going to be a winner. And if you don't, if there's any doubt in that, you're gonna fail, or you're gonna have a difficult time, unless you think. And this happens every pitch. This has to happen. It can't be, this pitcher's pretty good today, so I don't know how I'm gonna hit him. That can't enter into your mind. And we feel our players are pretty competitive, and they're working at it, and they think they're the best player on the field, and that's the mindset we want in every one of our players.
Yeah, going on just the last point, you mentioned those messages. As of right now, you have those 8 games in 10 days. What is your message to the team as of right now, this moment?
Take care of yourself. Make sure you're ready to go when we get these, and everybody be ready. We're inter-squatting today out at Seaside Park down in Bridgeport, and we're playing 7 innings of inter-squad. And we're getting a lot of pitchers in that haven't pitched a lot or didn't pitch this past weekend. And it's like, I want to see in a game situation, I don't care who you're pitching against, I want to see you sharp. I want to see you making an impact in us coaches' minds of, I deserve to get in this situation. Not that I haven't pitched in 2 weeks and I haven't pitched a lot, or I've only been out there once, and that's not the mindset you want to be successful. So these are the ideas that we're always trying to make sure our players are understanding, and that's a part of being successful. When I get in there, I'm going to do my part, and then I'm going to hand the ball off to the next guy, and he's going to do his part, and keep that going with the pitching, and keep that going. If a guy goes down, we've had T.J. Smallsy just before the game had hurt his foot and couldn't play in the leadoff spot in the after the suspended first 2 innings. We got suspended for Sunday, and we had to put another player in. The person goes in and saves 3 runs on 2 great catches in the outfield. Ryan Strollo, a 5th-year kid, and if he wasn't in there, probably would have given up 3 more runs. And he's our best outfielder, or one of our best, and these type of things that happen, that the next guy in line has to be ready to go. And I think they've seen that in the last 2 weekends of guys been out or hurt, and you're in, go, and they got to be ready. So hope that keeps everybody engaged, and I think they are.
Ryan, you good?
I'm good. Yeah, Coach, thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. Good luck over the next 10 days, 8 games, 10 days, not easy. And, thank you again for coming, taking time of your day to talk with us.
All right, thanks for having me, guys.
Once again, thank you so much for listening to this edition of Stags in the Studio on WVOF Sports. Once again, thank you, Bill Currier, for taking the time out of your day. Take care.